The National Catholic Reporter is absolute garbage. It's a heretical news outlet that calls themselves Catholic. And I usually don't pay attention to anything they have to say, but there was a particular article that caught my attention. In North Carolina, it talked about this woman who was complaining about people attending Easter Mass. Now, North Carolina has restrictions for public gatherings, and on Easter Mass, this lady, she sat, I guess, in the parking lot or somewhere. There was a limit of 10 people who were allowed in churches, and she said she counted 22 people. So this woman, in a flashback of when she was 6 years old, became a tattletale. She called the health department of North Carolina and told on these people. Further down in the article, the truth comes out. She basically is just someone who hates Catholicism. A newer priest who is transferred to her diocese says the Latin Mass, and she's hostile towards the Latin Mass. So she's trying to do whatever she can to get the parish in trouble. Now, there are people who say, Latin Mass isn't for me, it's not my thing. And there are people who say, I hate the Latin Mass and it should never be said in any parish. And I think those people who have an actual hatred for the Latin Mass are inspired by demonic activity. But moving on, I looked into the National Catholic Reporter's 990 form. It's their tax form for 2017. Their CEO is paid $130,000. Her name is Caitlin Hendel, and she actually ended up leaving later on. And I found an interesting note that Dan Shute is part of the board of directors of the National Catholic Reporter. So not only do we get horrible church music like the My Little Pony Gloria and my least favorite song of all time, All Are Welcome, but he's also sitting on a board of directors for a heretical news organization that calls itself Catholic. In 2017, the National Catholic Reporter received $4 million in revenue. Much of their funding comes from the Hilton Foundation, that is the guy who founded the hotel chain. And in 2019, the National Catholic Reporter received a $3 million grant from the Hilton Foundation. The Hilton Foundation also funds Catholic Relief Services, the heretical Jesuit Salt and Light Media, universities that are Catholic in name only like Georgetown and DePaul, and Marywood University in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Marywood has received almost $50 million over the past several years from the Hilton Foundation. Marywood promotes a homosexual group on their campus. The Hilton Foundation also funds a heretical group of women religious. It is called the Leadership Conference of Women Religious, and they had a dispute with the Vatican. They're very closely tied with the National Catholic Reporter. So basically, the National Catholic Reporter receives a lot of money from liberal elites. They are generously funded to promote heresy, and I hope you will join me after this video in ignoring everything the National Catholic Reporter has to say.